Hello and welcome back to SEMA's podcast. Y'all ready for this? Where we talk about all things emergency preparedness to make sure that you and your family are ready for any type of natural or man-made disaster right here in Chatham County. Y'all, believe it or not, we are at the end of 2021. We are in the last month. Today is the first day of the last month of this year. And my goodness, it has been a crazy year. I know you guys can attest to it. Have talked about all kinds of things every single week this year. We have done a podcast with the exception of Hurricane Elsa coming in and disrupting our services here for just a minute. But we're so excited to just continue to bring this preparedness information to you all. This week is a little bit of a treat. We're talking about how you can give assistance, how you can try to help those that are a little bit less fortunate. We recognize 2021 has been incredibly difficult for a lot of people. And there are people that are now saying, what can I do to try to give back? And we brought someone that can help us understand that a little bit more. Sakili is my co-host yet again. Sakili, welcome back.
Thank you.
And our special guest today and our subject matter expert, I'm going to call him Major. He's with the Salvation Army, but it's Major Paul Egan. Major, thank you so much for being here today.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's get started. I said this word major. People are probably thinking, Chelsea, what in the world are you talking about? Why are you calling Paul Egan Major? Can you give us a little bit of an idea for those that are unfamiliar about the Salvation Army and then specifically what a major is and kind of how you got into this role?
Absolutely. So a lot of people don't know the Salvation Army dates back to 1865. In London, England, there was a Methodist minister who loved the Lord, loved people, and in his going out to tell people, he started preaching on the street corner. He was really asked to by a group of guys because he was like 6'2". He was a big, tall fella. And so he had this great booming voice and wonderful stories. And he would preach on the street corner and people would just listen. And he would go to some of the rough places, slums, west side of London, east end of London. And as he would deliver these messages, people were just so attracted to him and to the message. As he began to talk more folks, he would say, William Booth was his name, that nobody ever got saved while their feet were cold or their teeth hurt, and just the needs that people had were just so important to him and his band of friends that kind of the Salvation Army was born out of that. We just wanted to teach people about the love of God and show them by helping out whatever situation they might be in. You take that down the road a little bit more. He started generating a lot of energy. A lot of folks were coming to him. A lot of people. Back then, it was very difficult for some people to go to church because they might not smell quite right. I mean, we're not just talking about not connected, there. And so he started having these series of meetings as well inside. And he had this guy that worked for him named Elijah Cadman. Now, he's the one I like because he's like 5'2". He's a very short fella. And he started, instead of saying General Superintendent Booth of the Christian Mission is going to come and speak today, he would say General Booth is coming to inspect the troops. People are like, what? And so he said he started wearing a uniform. He said, I want the devil to know that I'm at war with him to the teeth. He was just a showman. I mean, he was just, I love him. Short showman. That's right down my alley. And so Elijah Cadman started this thing and suddenly they started calling it the Army. And they talked about maybe being the volunteer army. And one of Superintendent Booth's sons said, I'm a regular if nothing. So let's call it the Salvation Army. And so it was born just out of a crazy, fun little, here's a neat way. Back in that day, you would imagine that wars were things and battles were talked about in the newspaper. So you didn't see, how difficult battles are and things of that nature. And so military fare kind of had a little bit more of a fanfare to it than maybe what we think of today. But still, it just became a wonderful way to establish what we do. Now, disasters. We go out onto disaster sites now, and we do hierarchy great, just like the military does. We know that, you go in, all right, the major's going to be in charge, and these two guys are going to take care of these responsibilities. We set up our command structure and we're off and running. And so really a neat way to run a business and a fun way. I wear my uniform and people go, oh, something's happening with the Salvation Army. What's going on with the Salvation Army? And it's just become a neat way. I mean, while Booth was still living, within 40 some years of him starting the Salvation Army, it got into over 70 countries. Now it's in 130 countries. The Salvation Army is, we started in the United States in 1879, came to Savannah in 1900. And I've been busy just doing those two things of telling people that God loves them and helping them out in whatever need they might have. And so that's kind of the mission and the work of the Army.
Wow. You know, I never actually
way
knew
too fast. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I never actually knew the full story. That was amazing. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah. I try to get it into 30 seconds and I never can, but there's a lot of cool things. But, you know, it's really, I love walking around in the Salvation Army uniform. I remember a day, I was about 19, 20 years old. I was going to the Salvation Army Officer Training College. So, of course, I was a cadet. That was my rank at that time because, you know, why not take this fun all the way through it? And so as a cadet, we were walking in near where Georgia Tech is, Techwood. It was pretty rough neighborhood back then. The Olympics came and kind of changed the community around a little bit, but back then it was really tough. But I could walk down there in my uniform and say, hey, Salvation Army man. And really people would just accept me with love and appreciation from, you know, just kind of a rough section of town. Same day, I go over to the Georgia State House. We were just going to see it. And the governor was coming through and said, hey, the guy from the Salvation Army. And, you know, pulls me out and shakes my hand, you know, just because of this uniform and because of the difference it's made in people's lives over the years, whether they be somebody that just sees us from the larger standpoint of the Salvation Army or somebody who's gotten some help from the guy in the uniform. And it's cool to be a part of. Yeah.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, so that's the vast perspective of the Salvation Army. The microcosm is when my mom was a kid, she had a very tough situation growing up, and her father didn't make a lot of good choices sometimes, and they needed help at the Salvation Army. They got there, they helped with food and some of the things of that nature, and toys, of course, at Christmas time, and then, but also at the Salvation Army, she went to church there, but not necessary. It didn't have to happen. One of the things she did, she also did character building programs where she learned some things, and even a music program. Mom played trumpet. Doesn't always happen, but in part of that, she started learning a value system that really wasn't striking well at home, and the virtues that were important, that all people are of greatest worth, and that we love and care for people, and we love and care for ourselves. And it broke a cycle of poverty in my family. I mean, you go back to that where she grew up to where I was able to grow up is totally different, and I thank God for that. Also through that, and when I was a kid, she would make me volunteer. Now, you know, it kind of stinks as a 14-year-old having to go out and ring the bell in front of Kmart. I wasn't saying I was like a willing participant all the time for that, but I love it now. I mean, absolutely, just enjoy it thoroughly. And it was good training for a mom to give to her son. And I'm not too bitter.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what got me involved. So 19, I became a cadet in the training college. They commissioned me as an officer. Why ordain a preacher if you can commission someone as an officer? You know, so it's just fun praise. And so did that, became a captain. At one point I was stationed in Annapolis, Maryland, which is always cool because I'd walk around with the midshipmen and I'd come around the corner and they weren't sure whether they should salute or not. They're looking, they're saying, this guy, look at his uniform, but there's no way he's military. You look at the beard, the belly, you know, there's just no way this chubby guy's but I'd tell him, read my cap and it says Salvation Army. Like, oh, and, you know, we'd start conversations that way. So I'm not, obviously not military, but I heard on Jeopardy that and so if it's on Jeopardy, it's got to be true. That's even better than the internet. That we are the largest army in the world with over 1 million soldiers. Because why be a church member or at the Salvation Army member when you can be a soldier? So that's what we do. And so it's being a nationwide or an international organization like we are, and it's fun to be a part of. We can really get to be a neat part in people's lives.
That is really amazing. And I know that there's more to the Salvation Army than like just disaster feeding, disaster relief and mass feeding. Just because I work at SEMA, I tend to think of things like that. Can you tell us more about what the Salvation Army does year round?
Oh yeah. So you think about it. Lots of times, I'll ask people, why do you support? Thank you for your support. Why do you support the Salvation Army? I said, well, you guys ring the bell, and you have stores, and you work in during disasters. Okay. Well, there's a little bit more, but year round we have a 3100 Montgomery Street is where our shelter is. It's also where our number one store is. We've got 3 in the community, but there at Montgomery Street, we're able to provide shelter for folks. Usually between 60 and 70 people a night will be sleeping at the Salvation Army. That includes men, women, and children. I had 4 kids I was out playing with in the yard. We call it. It's just a cement slab with some benches, but that are staying at the Salvation Army. We serve meals, 3 meals a day. Last year, we served 90,000 meals plus. So that's year round. We also, out of that Montgomery Street location, provide utility assistance and food assistance and a rent mortgage assistance, especially for those that have had setbacks because of COVID. And it's always helpful. That's in our hopes that people wouldn't become homeless if we can able to help out with their rent and utilities, things of that nature. Of those that are staying in the shelter, we have some that are part of a reentry program where they've spent time in prison and now are getting acclimated back to living in community. And so we help them out and help them to get their new job, set up their IDs, all that kind of stuff, and moving them forward. We also have some men who are part of a drug and alcohol rehabilitation program. So any day we've got about 20 folks that are out there that are there with us, part of a 6-month program, making a big change in their life. And as they do that, they help us to run the Salvation Army stores, as well as help out some with our shelter. And to see those men investing not only in themselves, but in the community that they're a part of by working with the Salvation Army is a thrill. Then also over 3000 B Road, next to Memorial Stadium at Davin Park, we have our community center where we're able to offer after school and summer day camp tutoring programs for children. And not only do they get good educational help with our education assistants, they also have a safe place to be while mom and dad are working. So it's a fun program. We do some music programs over there. My church is over there. We have social activities that are going on there, as well as opportunities we've got a community garden, adult kickball league, occasional basketball, volleyball games breaking out. It's fun.
Wow. I mean, as Sakili said, I feel like at SEMA, 99% of the time we are focused on calling the Salvation Army for disaster and for feeding, and you guys do that so well. I think it's amazing to think of all the other things that you do. And then in addition to all of those things, when it comes to the holidays, you guys have a whole new slew of things that you're involved in. Can you talk a little bit about what those are?
Sure. And, it's just kind of an extension of what we're already doing with disaster and then also with Christmas time. So there are people in the community that can use some extra help at Christmas time. And so we're able to provide a nice big food basket. Thank you, Second Harvest here in town. We do a great job with that, as well as toys for children. We'll probably help about 2,000 children. I think we're lined up so far for here in December. From about 700-800 families. Huge help with Holiday Hope from WSAV. They jump in with a lot of toys, and then we work with the Marine Corps and the Toys for Tots, and then of course community giving towards gifts bought specifically for individual children whose families have signed up to receive assistance. That's our Angel Tree program. And that's where we're just helping families out. A lot of the dealings that we do with folks are kind of through the difficult times of, disaster. When you're going there and you're talking to somebody trying to provide a meal whenever they've really hit rock bottom, or just personal disasters when either bad choices or bad things happen to them, and they come to us needing help with shelter or things of that nature. But Christmas gets to be fun, when we get to provide a big bag of toys for each kid to the parents. Now, if we do it right, the kids won't know that we're involved, and we're happy with that. Well, a little bit happy with that. I'd like to see the kids, but anyway, we do what we do, and we hand those sacks to the parents, and they're able to take them home, so the kids think that their parents or the Santa Claus has come through, and it's great. We do have, of course, some that are staying in the shelter that will be there over Christmas time. We try to work real hard with our case managers and make sure everybody's kind of at a home at Christmas time. But if they're not, they're going to get loved on a lot at the Salvation Army through our just opportunities to be a blessing to those families that are there.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that the Salvation Army seems to always meet people where they are and try to bring them up. And it's incredible. You guys do some pretty fantastic work for sure.
That's cool. With my mom, I know that she and her 10 brothers and sisters, I know my crazy uncles and whatnot. I'm sure they were not the most beautiful family to show up at somebody's doorstep, but they were loved on. They knew the Salvation Army was a place that cared about them, and that's our goal. And that's what we're able to do. And it's a joy to be a part of. And yeah.
So if one of our listeners is feeling kind of inspired or excited and wants to be a part of the work that you guys are doing at the Salvation Army, how can they get involved? What can they do? Can they contact you guys directly, or what would be the best way?
Yeah, and you can kind of see a list of all those things and figure out what I forgot to say by going to our website. And there you'll see I want to make sure I always get these flip-flopped, and so I don't want to get it wrong. If you go to the if you go to the Salvation Army Savannah.org, that will take you to our website. And it's there that we have a little place that like to volunteer, might need some help, like to be able to do this or that or give in this way. At the bottom of that website page, after you read all the cool things we get to do or that we do, is a place where you can put in your name and a message, and that comes directly to it goes through our headquarters and directly to me. They'll send it to me, and then we'll put it out to folks and see how we can add you to the list of those, especially those that like to help. We've been using a lot of great volunteers right now with our feeding program. Again, 90,000 meals last year. And so every day for a meal, there's this lovely couple. I don't even know their name yet. I'm so embarrassed. I've seen them every week, and I can't remember their name, but they're helping us to serve the meal. And at lunchtime, I waved at them today, and they were serving the last of our guys in the rehab program, and then they were getting ready to chop some things up for supper, and prep for that. So that's an opportunity. Other ways that people are able to help. We have this little program called Register to Ring, and right now we have the opportunity for people to go out and ring the bell in front of one of our kettle sites where we collect money. And it's 14-year-old didn't like it too much, but I learned everything I ever needed to know about sales and about greeting people, looking people in the eyes, smiling, saying hello, thanking them for giving. And that's one of the opportunities that we have. So if you go to this registertoring.com, it'll basically send you to a website where you can pick a time and a location that you would like to ring the bell. You can either go in there and sign up as an individual or as a group. That's a fun way a lot of people are able to help. Also on our website, you'll see our phone, or you can email about it. Some people would like to buy a gift specifically for a child. And so as we've registered all these parents to get assistance with the Salvation Army, we've assigned each of them a number. And so a family number 106 might have 4 children. And so in our little code system, we have family 106A, that's Bill, and family 106B, that's Jill, and so you can pick out a child. It'll give their name and their the first name and their age and what they might like for Christmas and what sizes they might have, and buy specifically for a child. And what we do is we get that. We have a great team of volunteers who turn our community gym over at B Road into just a North Pole. And they put a bunch of bags out, each one with each child's name and number. And we fill those bags up with what comes in specifically for that child. And then at the correct appointment time, the parents will come and get it, and we'll send those home for the children. It's a chore, but it's fun. And now, last year, we especially learned this. We cranked things up where people would select a name. They would just go through and go through Amazon, Walmart.com, you name the little sites, and order, have it directly sent to us with a little message that says this is for family 106B, and Jill's going to get the little gift, and so it's unreal. We became fast friends with the FedEx guy last year. He knew where we kept the extra bottles of water. He'd come in and make a delivery, and kind of join our team, and it's neat to be a part of. But that even helps to make that connection. We have a number of communities and team, like Panera Bread. You go over to their place, they've got some of our angels hanging up little tags that just have that information. You can take it and buy specifically for a child, and then know, come Christmas Day, that's the kid that's going to be opening up that present. And another way some people give, we've had a couple of parties where everybody shows up for the instead of buying your boss another necktie, you buy them a game of Candyland, and here you go, sir. You don't want it good. I'm going to give it to the Salvation Army, but it's a gift, and so just the whole group would just do a gift exchange. They would bring in gifts for the kids at the Salvation Army that we're helping, and kind of show it to each other. So you're not walking home with another pair of socks you don't need, and some kid's going to get a Candyland. Just fun ways to help.
I love that. So I wasn't kidding when I say that we're really just excited to be partners of the Salvation Army. So listeners, we're actually going out on a Tuesday in December this year, and we're going to help the Salvation Army do exactly what Major had just said, and sort through all of the toys and help figure out what needs to go where, so that they can get ready to give all of those gifts to the parents later on that week. So we're very excited to be able to do that. It really moved me learning about all the work that the Salvation Army does on a consistent basis, and we wanted to find a way to give back. So I know, Sakila, you're probably very excited about that. I don't think you learned that we're doing that yet, but now you know.
Yeah, great.
I did not know that, but that is super cool. That's actually a great segue into, I think, our next question, which is, I think we already kind of covered like donating toys and gifts, but what if somebody wanted to donate food or clothing or even money? What is the best way for them to do that with you guys?
Generally, to give us a call and to set up those donations. If you go onto our website, though, there is a donate button that's available there. It's also available for to donate monetarily. Also, if you have something that you want to donate, to leave your name and number on the little message finder, and that email comes to us, and we're able to say, okay, here's the best place to come to. Of course, anytime you want to, you can stop by 3100 Montgomery Street, and that is where we have a warehouse that you can donate used items that might be used in our stores. People that come that might not have money to shop in our store are able to go to the social service desk, and we write them out a voucher that says, this is 30 pieces of clothing for your family. And then they just walk into our store and use that voucher as a way to shop as opposed to money, and able to pick out what they need. But you can donate used items there that we'll sell and turn into that rehabilitation program dollars and our support. And then by leaving your name and number there, we've had people who said, we've done a little food raiser and have a bunch of food that we like to give to the Salvation Army. They let us know then, or they come by and drop it off.
Very cool. So lots of different opportunities. I know with this time of year, especially at the end of 2021, it's been rough. I mentioned that at the beginning. A lot of people may be struggling for the first time or for the first time in a long time. So I'm so thankful. And I personally want to say thank you, Major, for all of the work that you guys do here locally. I know anytime we have an issue, Salvation Army is our first call. And we know that you guys are always going to pick up and you're always going to be there to help our community. So I really do appreciate that.
Oh, it means a lot. Our relationship with SEMA, the Salvation Army moves me from location to location as the major, as the officer in charge and the pastor and the kind of the executive director. But it's not every community that I've been able to move to that it has a SEMA set up and so active. It means a world of difference, especially whenever, I love seeing it in action where there's a hurricane off the coast and we just get ready for it and it doesn't come. That's the best.
Yes,
Sorry. But to know that we're together as a team has been fantastic here. And Chatham County and Savannah residents ought to be very proud of that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Is there anything else that you think would be a benefit to our listeners to know as they're heading into the latter half of this holiday season?
Yeah, it's been a tough year. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some opportunities just to enjoy the season. We've got a list out in front of our community center right now that are a sign that says wish lists don't bring happiness, Thanksgiving lists do. And I think I'm just going to leave it all the way up through December. It was more of a Thanksgiving type thought, but we oftentimes think of all the things that we want and all the things we want to get done. It's Christmas, let's move. To sit back and enjoy your kid, or to sit back and enjoy the friendships that you have, and just give yourself a little break, or come down to the Salvation Army, help hand out some food, or just be a part of people. And of course, I say Salvation Army, you pick the agency and be a part of it and make a difference in somebody's lives. It's those relationships that go on for a long time. I hope people make the most of it.
That's beautiful. Give grace to yourself, give grace to others, and find a way to make a difference in the world. I think that's a beautiful way to leave this podcast. Thank you, Major. I really appreciate that. Keely, any last words of wisdom?
No, I think, like you said, that's the perfect ending.
I like it. All right, listeners, we will be back later on this month and we will talk to you then. Until then, bye, guys.
Bye.